Welcome to a garden vlog short today. Got some more pigeon poop in here, about 3/4 of a bucket, very dense and heavy this time. This is the compost that we made, started working on last month or so. It's been cold weather, so it's probably gonna go a full 3 months or so before it breaks down. Kind of dry, it looks like. Might need to wet it down a little bit. Maybe even add some worms to it. Well, I did a quick check with the compost bins and stuff, and with the shovel digging in there, and there's no worms near the surface, so it's probably just too cold. Everything has been dry as well, which, cold and dry probably makes the worms go deeper into the bed or in the ground. So I put the new pigeon poop here in the cement mixer, and we're going to change it up this time. We're going to add some monitor lizard bedding, so a lot of poop and stuff there. Probably mealworm, cricket, superworm poop, and all kinds of stuff mixed in there with some peat moss and a variety of broken down mulches and dirt. It's a big container, so I'm gonna put maybe half in there. Dark, rich. It's even got eggshells in it, and I've seen some earwigs running around in there, but I don't think there's any earthworms. Unless they're just tiny, microscopic. We did get some rain the other day, so it is a little moist. We're going to do some little sticks and leaves that have fallen over the years on this little carport here. So a lot of these probably already have some leaf mold and some insect activity in them. Maybe some earthworms too. We got a full bucket here. I had, I think, some videos last season about whether or not these white grapefruits that were labeled as marsh whites were really marsh white grapefruits. I took them to a local nursery. They tested them. They said, yeah, that's a marsh white. Guess what? In the 25 years or so since I planted this tree, this is the first year it has a real white grapefruit taste, and I have no idea why. It has the acidity, it has the flavor and juiciness. Now, is it as good as the Dunstan or whatever? I highly doubt it. But this is the first year I've sort of enjoyed these marsh white grapefruits because they taste like real grapefruits. Is it the strange weather that we've been having the last couple years and the, kind of the warmer winters last year? Because, we had bananas 2 years in a row. And that's something that we've never had before. As I walked around the yard earlier today, I looked at all the little seedling citrus plants, whether they're grapefruits, hybrids, oranges, or whatever, including this larger one here. And I wonder, is next year going to be the first year flowering? How long is it going to be before each one of these guys flower and fruit? This is probably one of the second largest ones. It's probably about 8 foot in the air. And right behind it over there is the one we waited about 15 or 16 years for. And it had bad quality fruit. So is this going to be good quality fruit? Is it going to be worth the wait? This red navel that we air layered and had good leaves and even had new leaves come out is definitely seems to be slowly dying. There is a little bit of green down there. I'm not sure if it could push out something from the roots, if the roots are still healthy. But, it did have a nice root system, and we may have just harvested the air layer too late. But I'll just leave it in a pot and see if it ever shoots out anything. Some of these field grafts. I don't know if all 3 of these are persimmons. This guy looks dead. This guy has new growth there that's dormant right now. And same thing here. So even if these are persimmons, which I kind of want to graft, they're a little bit too small. They've had too much dieback on these larger portions. See, that's dead there. But we might have to wait another year or so for that. To do any more air layers this coming next year? Probably. I see it's a viable option. Our success rate for getting roots was pretty good. Our success rates for keeping them alive, like I said, probably has more to do with the timing of when you pull them off the tree. So we waited too long, most likely. But we hopefully have one backup of that grapefruit, and hopefully, the seedling that we planted like 17, 18 years ago, and hopefully we can get some more backups of that and a few other things. I'm going to be more vigilant in actually checking for roots if I have to cut the bags or whatever we have to do, because some of them did not look like they had roots at all until we pulled everything out and the roots were kind of growing up the actual stick or whatever, the limb, and tightly wrapped around it versus like coming out through the peat moss. Here's another one of the American persimmons here that I've tried to graft several times too, and they all failed. I could probably do a single graft low on that bark there, or maybe try to patch into here with one and then down there with a side veneer graft, but really don't have a lot of persimmon rootstock that's big enough to maybe justify any scion orders this year. So unless I buy some rootstock ready to graft, which I'm not really keen on right now, that could be, maybe one piece of scion wood or maybe zero for the 2026 season. The ones I would probably most look forward to would be like the coffee cake or nishi moruwasi or whatever, chocolate, and masu zenjia or whatever it's called from Japan, or the California strain. I want to have one of those spicy, brown sugar, cinnamon, coffee cake flavored Asian persimmons. Now for American persimmons, I just want a good one, maybe a larger one, a good quality one, just to have one, and even though we have American persimmon seedlings, they're probably going to be tiny, probably not much good for anybody, and it may take years and years and years before we get something to produce fruit, and it may be 40 foot tall before that happens, so we may not even be able to reach the fruit. Have to wait till it falls on the ground or something, get it when it's splat, and see if there's anything we could use to bake with, or probably not for fresh eating. And I missed a grafting session, whatever you call it, a grafting class, and I was probably going to go to it on last Saturday, and of course this video is all over the place. It could be weeks or months before it's uploaded, so even though I introduced this as kind of a short garden vlog short, just because of how long in between we're shooting video, it could be super long. I could be lying, but Natalie decided to do her nails, have a nail appointment, in the opposite direction in a different town, and her appointment was only 1 hour, and I think this grafting class was about 4 hours, so 20-30 minutes drive one way, 3-4 hour session, another 20 minutes drive back. It'd probably been 5 hours, and Natalie would be waiting in the nail salon for 3+ hours, wondering where I'm at. So I decided it just wasn't a good idea. But they were grafting mulberries, loquats, and avocados, and I didn't even know you could do really mulberries this time of year, because some of them are dormant, some of them are not, and we don't have really new flushes of spring growth either. But since supposedly what was explained to me is, since they're temperate zone plants, they can take to grafting even before that new spring growth comes out. And I'm pretty sure we'll do some more mulberry grafting. We have seedlings popping up everywhere, which we could use as rootstock. But I've had pretty bad successes with loquats, so it'd be interesting to go to a grafting class and see why I'm not successful, or what makes graft successful versus not in this area. Because there's people in South Florida saying you can patch it together, 2 pieces of loquat, a scion wood, and a rootstock, and you don't even have to be anywhere near perfect. They'll find a way for the cambium layers to attach, and they will, succeed. But, this is different than South Florida, North Central Florida is different than South Florida, and the northern panhandle is like another zone different than here, like, Georgia, Alabama, frost, weather. As far as avocados, I don't think I've ever tried to graft an avocado. They seem to have so much difficulty, even if you prune them and they somehow get fungus or something, and that seems to just eat right down the tree. That black just goes down until it's dead sometimes. So I'm not sure what the secret is, or if there's a secret, or if it's just luck or bad luck that I've had with, putting avocados in the ground and having them immediately just go into decline, or sometimes like pruning the tips, topping them, to get them bushier, and then randomly have that turn black and the plant dies. And as you probably know, if you've been keeping up with the channel, we've had several grafted varieties, including ones putting raised beds and stuff. Fantastic. The two other ones just recently that just passed away. They tried to come back. They had some issues with the summer sun, some of them, and they just ended up dying, rootstock and all, I believe. And we only have, what is that, Joey, I think, that's left that seems to be doing pretty good. So, short conclusion so far is I think that building new raised beds and planting them immediately in there, even if it's a year or so old, may not be the best idea. Maybe you need more established, build your bed, add your leaves, add your compost, whatever. Let it sit. Luckily, we planted so many avocados in so many different places, despite having, some bad luck, some obviously dying, some of them struggling. We also have a few that look like they're doing pretty good, seedlings and stuff. So, hopefully, 2, 3, 5 years, whatever. Hopefully next year we can, maybe work on doing some grafts. Even if we have to bring somebody in, maybe Oliver or somebody, see if he'll come and graft some for us, and see how it goes from there. Speaking of loquats, so we may do a couple loquat grafts attempts, because we've not had good luck with them. I probably got just a little bit better luck on loquats than I have persimmons, but not by much. So last garden vlog video we released, we were doing a soft closing, and I've never heard that term being used. I've heard of soft openings where like a store or something will open early and they'll give prizes or something away. It may not be an all-day opening, the first 100 people, get a t-shirt or something like that, and then they do their official opening later. But I thought it was a cool concept because we're slowing down. We're doing a, soft closing of the season, but yet we're still thinking about what's coming next season. And yes, I'm holding one of these marsh white grapefruits I've been kind of eating on as I'm been walking around the yard. It's been a few more days since I did any videoing on this vlog, which was supposed to be a short, soft closing vlog, with a series of vlogs, episodes, whatever you want to call them. But I guess I proved myself to be a liar there, because this is probably going to be a normal, as far as time, how long this video is, garden vlog. And a normal garden vlog can be 5 minutes, or it can be 45 minutes, as you probably know. But check this out. So this Christmas loquat here has more flowers. It's reblooming, even though it's been blooming for a month or more, maybe. I guess there were many loquats there. A little bit droopy looking, some of them, so I'm not sure if they're going to stick onto the tree or fall off early. But if we have some from this tree, it'll be our first Christmas loquats. And I have certainly been looking at 2 nursery websites. Fruitwood Nursery, which is the one I always seem to order from. I've been, since they were Rolling River Nursery, before that name was bought out by Planting Justice and they took over. But obviously they didn't take over the physical nursery, I guess. So the people that owned Rolling River previously and owned Fruitwood, I guess, never sold their land, the property, and the original plants. I guess they just sold the name and gave them, I don't know if it was scion wood or just grafted plants just to have all the stock that they had. Don't know how that worked, but now they're trying to sell out again. And again, I do not think that they are trying to sell their property with all the plants on them. So I'm not sure how that works, but they could probably make a lot of money if they can sell their nursery twice and still have their nursery to start a third time. But I cannot complain about, these people because they've had such great customer service. Most people, and reviews and all, I think just love these people. I've had issues with orders and they've always fixed them. Replacement plants, we had some that froze many years ago because they said that the shipping company did not tell them the routes they were taking. So between where they were and where they thought they were going to go, here and the little destination stops, there was no freezes, but somehow it stopped in like an extra day or two somewhere else where there was a hard freeze, and those plants arrived in the box completely frozen. They didn't defrost for a day or two here. So many of the plants, the kind of the western United States, the southwestern cactuses and stuff, just froze to death. And because of that, I think they sent out the entire order all over again, even though a few things that was in that order did not freeze because they were freeze hardy. So a few things we probably got doubles of. And then maybe 2 years ago, I can't remember, we got I ordered some cactus pads and they had one or two that had already started rotting. So I took pictures of it. I put it in the ground anyway, just in case the rot stopped and the green, would allow itself to root in the ground, but it didn't. They offered to send a new one, and I just said, just hold off. I'm going to place another order with you guys in a month or two. I'll just remind you in the notes to put that, replacement cactus pad in there. And they did it. No problem. They took care of it. Often read reviews of Etsy sellers and stuff like that where, they send something and the plant seems to be obviously dead, not just dormant. And they just hardly ever seem to send replacements or refunds or anything. So, and I don't guess Etsy has any kind of system to make sure the sellers are being honest and guaranteeing what they have, and you could intentionally be just shipping out dead sticks and say that, well, this is a grafted persimmon or something, and it not be so, and maybe get away with it. Whereas maybe other platforms, it's not quite as easy as like bulk seed sellers, wholesalers or whatever, selling seeds from every single thing you can imagine, their warehouse or whatever, or house or place of business could be in a state that, 2/3 of these seeds our plants would not even grow or survive. And they get such a bad reputation. People constantly write these reviews. No, none of the seeds were viable. They were all dead. Seller did not take care of it. They sent the wrong seeds. That's often happens as well. They'll sprout and they'll say, this isn't what I bought. And they hardly ever take care of their customers. So, if you find people, and I'm pretty sure the people that run Fruitwood are grandparents, probably older, probably in their 70s, maybe older than that, I'm not sure. So good customer service in an online plant nursery business is probably hard to come by. So when these people finally stop doing what they're doing, pass on or just retire, it's going to be bad for the community. But I was just looking at this mulberry tree. This could make a heck of a multi-grafted one. This is one I think was growing just somewhere where we couldn't have it growing, so I dug it up a year or so back, or maybe this year earlier. I mean, it has so many limbs to do. You could do like 3 or 5 nice grafts, or you could probably put 8 or 10 grafts on it if you wanted to. So I didn't know if I wanted to maybe donate this to one of the local grafters that donates a lot of their raffle and free plant stuff to one of the local garden clubs, or if I wanted to multi-graft it myself. I've had a few that I already have in containers that, grafts filled, right there's an old graft that, we could probably put, one nice graft here, maybe 2 or 3. And I would not be surprised if I don't have like over 100, mulberry seedlings just growing up from under the trees and all over the place, especially around that wetlands zone 1 area. And there are also some medium-sized trees that have been growing around wetlands zone 1 as well. Some of them we did graft to, some of them we grafted and they failed, some of them we haven't grafted to. And to the point, I've got 2 potential orders I'm thinking of. One of them is a nursery. I think I said earlier in this video that I've never ordered from, but they're mostly going to be for figs and mulberries. But they have a lot of types of mulberries that Fruitwood Nursery does not have. But then again, Fruitwood Nursery has a lot of other types of plants, persimmons and this and that the other nursery does not have. Can I afford it and justify the cost of doing 2 orders between now and maybe the end of January? If all of the mulberries that we tried to graft and root between end of last year, early this year, or even later, was it spring or summer when I got that last, I can't remember, bunch of mulberry cuttings, if all of them would have taken, I would probably only want 2 or 3 other cultivars that were on my mind, people recommended to me, and we would have been happy. But we had a lot of them that did not take. Shangri-La did not take. I think David Smith did not take. Jan's Best did not take. And a few others. My Wellington rooted cutting that I bought, my plug from Fruitwood, it did not survive. I planted it in the ground when the roots were still green, saying maybe it'll come back from the roots, but it never did, unfortunately. We also didn't have any of the true blacks, like the Persian or Black Beauty or whatever it's called. None of the grafts took, so I wouldn't mind having at least one true black one just to see how it does here. I know they take forever to grow supposedly, and but they're supposed to also be the best tasting mulberries there are, and I've never tasted, I think, a true black mulberry. Even though dwarf evergreen used to be called a black mulberry, now I think it's considered a red and white hybrid. And even a couple that are alive, they're kind of still iffy. Like 4 Seasons has a terrible, I think it's still alive, the graft that I put on the tree. It just hasn't done much. So there may be a couple instances where I'm still on the fence about whether or not they're alive or going to survive long term. It's been another day, and now we're finally going to we got the guinea pig bedding in there for all that food, that Timothy hay, aspen shavings, pea poop, all that good stuff, and we're going to put this with everything else and mix it together with the pigeon. To add some of our nastiest stink water. We got that one bucket that might have some eggs and milk and some oils and stuff in it. One of the stinkiest ones. And we're going to mix it up. Add some rainwater and put in here makes everything mix a lot better, but it also brings out a lot of that stink from that pigeon poop. And that's what it looks like so far.